Pretty mediocre day for the most part. Until I started watching a few things on online. Um, the clip you've just seen, it's from my region's television network, ATV, and you'll see beneath the logo is in colour. You know, like that was the time that colour was a new thing. Um, and you get that on quite a few. You got that on quite a few regions in British TV, on independent television. I think the BBC, I think the Public Service Broadcaster did it as well. Yeah, they did. Um, where it was just a great new thing, and off the back of that, I remember the series Civilization by Kenneth Clark, by a guy called Kenneth Clark, who's apparently a museum director or something. Uh, and for its time, it was a landmark series. I tried watching some of it, and it's just not for me. It was dated, it was pretty dull, and not very well presented. But like I say, for its time, it was quite a renowned series, and it could only have been off the back of the introduction of colour TV, that you got large scale documentaries like that back then, about such things, as what was criticised apparently later as too much of a narrow focus on European culture, Western European culture. But there's a lot of Western European culture, so and then another series that was mentioned in a search that I did was The Ascent of Man by Jacob Bronowski. Now, I did watch an episode of that. I remember reading the book and being taken by that chapter. By the chapter, the episode I saw was based on, called The Majestic Clockwork. Which deals with Newton and Einstein and their theories. Quite good in parts. And I do remember there's this bit, if you get it on the Internet Archive, where someone did an experiment with a record, and I think there's different times at the edge of the record and at the center of the record, but the really interesting metaphor is what Einstein came up with himself, and that was he had these really simple questions that he had the capacity to answer, and this question was, what would you see if you were traveling on a beam of light and looked backwards? If you were travelling at the speed of light, and he discovered that you'd see what last took place when you hit the speed of light. Right, fascinating. And yeah, quite a good episode to watch that. For it says how perspective shifts when you're travelling at speed, and stuff like that. Quite interesting. Dated again, like Civilization, and Bronowski's presentation leaves quite a bit to be decided. More of an academic than anything else. Like Clark was more of a museum director. Bronowski was more of an academic, mathematician, I think. I think he was a mathematician. Hence the interest in Newton and Einstein. But yeah, reminded me of the book that I had, The Ascent of Man. I looked it up on a bookshop. It's too expensive. I had the book donkeys years ago, and I'm not going to pay for it again. all these years later, when it'll be even more dated than it was then. But it was an interesting read. That would have been only 20 years. About 25 years since when I bought it, from when the series was broadcast. Would it have been? No, about 15, 16 years. 15 years, maybe. Yeah, about 15 years. 14, 15 years. I've got the book. Second hand, but it was in good condition. Or was it second hand? I might have got it from Smith's. Can't remember anyway. Irrelevant. But yeah. But there was those series wouldn't have been possible without colour TV. Yeah. And it's sort of, it got me, for some reason I remembered seeing earlier, remembering seeing Emmerdale Farm when I was really young. It used to be this soap opera in Britain that's now called Emmerdale. But when it was Emmerdale Farm, in the early to mid 70s, it was just really rurally focused on the rural life of people, which sort of fitted this area at the time. This was a market town back then. I remember going to see the livestock at the marketplace, which is back there, up in that direction, in town. But yeah, really, really atmospheric. Emmerdale Farm was. It really captured the atmosphere of rural life, and then of course the fashion became to look at relationships and cater to a younger audience rather than a rural middle-aged one. But yeah, it's quite interesting though. Also tried looking up. There was this series called Network I'm guessing the early 80s, in the early 80s, early to mid 80s. I loved on independent television. There was this series on public service broadcasting called Tomorrow's World, which was interesting, but to my recollection, Network was more interesting because it really picked up on what was about to happen with communications. I remember missing an episode of it and I was so pissed off. I couldn't believe that I missed an episode of it. Apart from that, I watched every single episode of it. I thought it was brilliant at the time. It's probably shit, but at the time, yeah. Since the time of, to my recollection, since the time of civilization and the ascent of man, those large-scale documentaries have sort of fallen by the wayside. In the decades from, I think it's the 80s to the 2020s, you get David Attenborough's nature documentaries being the only ones. I don't watch much TV, but the only large-scale documentaries where money seems to get thrown on it to produce them. I think that's, to me, they're formulaic. But not only that, but it like sort of doesn't acknowledge that there's a wealth of info out there that you could make large-scale documentaries on, and if that's your thing, that's your thing. But there's. Then again, People's Century was pretty good. That was that I've mentioned before. That was something that really was quite significant TV series. But apart from that, I can't really remember anything. Of that scale of the early colour TV. But yeah, yeah. That's pretty much been my day. Mainly mediocre. Um, uh, Pretty dull, in fact. Tomorrow I got to have a shower. What's that? Oh, I had fish fingers in a sandwich with onions and tomato sauce and mayonnaise. Then for my evening meal, I had chicken biryani. I may have to eat later on tonight, but I want to get in a meditation for about 8:30. Yeah, uh, uh, another meditation because I've only done. I will only have done 2 today rather than 3. Yeah, I've got to cut back from doing 3, and do 2, but sort of increase my activity. Read a bit of that book that I've been reading. It doesn't strike me as very good, but and apparently I think I'm on chapter 2 or 3. Chapter 3, I think, and it only reaches something a significant moment in chapter 8, I think. I looked up online. The rest is build up, and so you know what novels are like. So well, what most novels are like. So yeah, I also looked up morphology, which sort of taps into that stuff I said about David Attenborough's documentaries being formulaic. I remember, and it sort of takes a shine off literature when you come across stuff like Vladimir Prop's Morphology of the Folktale. And it sort of gets you, it's a bit like the Marshall McLuhan stuff, where apparently you never see media in the same way again. Made it possible to see media in a new way. Yeah, Vladimir Prop's Morphology of the Folktale, it's sort of, mind you, it takes a bit of the shine off literature, but it gives you that critical sense as well. As well as anything else. That's pretty much been my day. Like I said, pretty mediocre. But apart from starting to delve online, watched a few more recent videos. I've sort of pulled back from watching the older ones for a bit, if not permanently. Yeah. Did I mention shower tomorrow? Mind you, I'm even getting bored of looking at the recent videos. There's not much on them. They're pretty dull. If you're watching them, then you've got time on your hands, sort of thing. But yeah, which I've got as well. But yeah, but like I say, at least I eventually today started to make some use of that time. Doubt if I'll be going into town for a coffee tomorrow, or we'll have a show. It's quite nice weather out there, actually. Is it windy? Bit of a breeze, nothing more. But yeah. So today marks a week since I've had the curtains and windows closed. I open the windows a bit more now and again than what I did. Like I said, I've got the fan here, but I've got the windows, so I can always crack open as well. If the temperature gets too much. I mean, the sun captures this side of the building in the evening. So yeah, slept quite well as well again. But yeah. So like I say, yeah, that's pretty much been my day. I would have included the intros to Civilization, The Ascent of Man, and Network, maybe, if I could have found it. Because it was, for me, it was a massive program. Like I say, when I missed the one episode, I was so pissed off. But yeah. But I only decided to include. I decided only to include the ATV one, which I remember from up till I was about 10, I think. ATV, the Central England's, the Midlands is what Central England's called in this country. The Midlands is the Midlands broadcaster, the Midlands regional TV service was changed its branding or whatever to Central TV, which I thought was shit. I always preferred it when it was ATV. But yeah, in 1980, I think that was, when I was 10. So yeah. I don't actually know why. They might have. I read a bit about franchises today, and it may have been something to do with that. In fact, I think it was something to do with that. Yeah. Incidentally, the presenter of Civilization, Kenneth Clark, his son, Alan Clark, was a minister in Margaret Thatcher's government. And the only thing I really remember about him is that he said that when he was in the House of Commons, he used to look at Margaret Thatcher's ankles and admire them. I don't bloody know. But anyway, that's about that for now.